My bro made 100K delivering pizzas, delivering newspapers in the morning, and working 4 hours a day in a warehouse at UPS. No degree. Well, I think that's the difference for me. I'm not trying to work 4 jobs to make 100K. I'd rather get a degree that gives me the trajectory of
work 6 hours a day.
Right.
All right.
180 days out the year.
Always happen.
Wait. Can I say this?
Pause. This is why men are will always make more than women. Do you know how long it will take the average person to make $100,000 from that degree?
Depends on what degree.
Somebody doing what this man said.
Depends on the degree. It does.
That's
since the beginning.
Isn't it 10% of people make $100,000 at all ever?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where is it? I think it would be. You have to ask too. Where is she located? Caesar's Palace, because it's just not hard to make that in some areas. You know what I'm saying? So
Vegas.
The location.
I'm pretty sure he's a gentleman, but okay. So
if I was still in New York, you know what I'm saying? Well, a few years back, I was about to go back to New York and live there. Right now, I would be well over 6 figures doing what I'm doing now in New York.
So let me say this, right? Because
that was a few years ago. Sorry.
With a high ass cost of living.
I remember you went up for that job.
So I want to say this, right? Because I think it's really important. When men call cap about like the 666, like this is why, right? Because women care more about how you make that 6 figures than you actually making 6 figures. Because I promise you, this gentleman who's doing this, who's working the 4 jobs, does not receive as much respect as the man who's working 1 job to do that, even though they're bringing in the same income.
Oh, for sure. Prestige, influence. We said prestige, influence, and some people take. It was a survey. Some people choose prestige over income. But like the influence and status is more important than
but here's the thing, Shane, is that like when men are complaining about the modern woman, that's what the modern woman is not talking about like I want this over this over this. The modern woman is saying I want all of it. Right? Like there's no room for negotiation. If you don't have all of it, then you're not deemed a viable candidate, right? Here's this gentleman doing this, working all of these jobs to do this. I have no idea what his trajectory is going to look like, especially if he seems to be good with money. And if he's making that kind of money on 4 jobs, he obviously seems to be good at what he does. In 5-10 years, this dude's set. This dude is set. This dude can not only take care of 1 family, but probably multiple families when we're looking at the average income.
Well,
right?
For me, I'm going to be honest. And I know y'all gonna think I'm calling that y'all gonna say I'm capping, but I promise you I'm not. This wouldn't be a dude that I would want to be with because I value time.
Yeah, he ain't no time for you.
Yeah, he would not be able to give that to me. So for me, that money doesn't matter. It does not matter at all because this, I would rather him making 50 or 60 where he's doing, 40 hours a week. And then I have the time and I'll make the adjustments for our family because that's more valuable to me. So, having 4 jobs, I'm never going to see you.
So here's the thing, mistaken, right? Like, I don't imagine with the type of work this gentleman is doing that that's going to be what he does for the next 40 years of his life, right? It seems to me if you're making that kind of money in this kind of way, you have a plan. I promise you, this man in 5 to 10 years will probably have more time for his partner than the guy who's going to be making this amount in 5 to 10 years.
Well, then I would be okay with that.
But that's what I'm saying. I think that women don't think about the longevity of relationships. They want that instant gratification of you have to already be making this kind of money and have the kind of time that I need and be able to pour into your family and be able to still give me a luxury lifestyle and be able to, do you know what I mean? Like it just seems to add up. Whereas women aren't typically going to look at a man like this and be like, okay, if I can tough this out because it's going to be challenging as a woman, we like attention, especially from our partner, right? We want that time. We want that partnership when it comes to raising children. We want to have somebody to take in. That if I can sacrifice 5 years, I'm going to get all of that and so much more than all of my counterparts if I sacrifice. women are not willing to, most modern women are not willing to put in that sacrifice anymore. And it's unfortunate because when this gentleman gets to where he wants to get, he's going to have to vet women based on if they're there for resources or there for him. Because the women now are not going to consider him as a viable option.
Well, I mean, realistically speaking, most men are not making that much, and a lot of men are in relationships. So let's not say like men who are making, there are men who make less than who are in relationships, who out here.
But that's not what I'm saying, Shan. I think maybe the point I was making was missed a little bit. So let me reiterate that, right? The fact that there are fewer people getting to marriage because of their unrealistic standards means that the likelihood is that this gentleman will not be able to find a partner to tough out the fact that he doesn't have time until he's more established and isn't working this amount of jobs, right? I think the likelihood of it is that he's probably going to wait. Why? Because women are just not going to tolerate his situation.
I'm willing to bet you he has a woman. This is
he has a wife and 4 kids. He got a wife and 4 kids.
But here's the other thing that I think we may be overlooking. If you work hard like that, you tend to value money differently. And
that's true.
In this day and age, just based off what people are like, I hear it, but I don't believe it. I call cap on the women saying that they are demanding this, and I call cap on the men saying that the women are demanding.
I know they capping. It's too many people that don't, and they got people.
But just listening to what people are saying and what they're stating, the expectation is well beyond $100,000 of what the standard of living that they want. It's well behind.
Oh, for the standard of living they want.
Yeah,
but I think when people say that, when most people are not making 100, these men who are here have a lot of these options. These men who are making kids who have options to these are not making $100,000. It's more to it than that, and we keep missing that. That's only a small. That means only a small percent of people are getting chosen for real. For real. When I look outside, I see average people in relationships. These are not above average people.
Mm-hmm. Go to the zoo. I always say this: if you go to the zoo,
you see average people loving on each other.
I be feeling like an elephant, like a giraffe, because everybody about 5'7" at the zoo, like even families with their kids and strollers
and I see bare bellies.
Like when we were talking about like education and all of those things, I think a lot of times, of course, we're using education with the idea of it being attached to the amount of money and success and things like that. Now, for me, again, with my children, when they started young, success was never tied to money in my household. It just wasn't. I told them, for them, success for me was if you were able to move out of the house, live on your own, take care of yourself without having to have somebody else take care of you. Like, Mom, can you give me money to pay my rent because you're being irresponsible, whatever. For me is being able to be independent, right? That's my level of success. That's the standard that I set for them. So anything that go over and beyond that, that's a plus. And I think that's part of the issue is that we tie value, we tie success, we tie everything with money. And we've forgotten about the person. What really makes a difference is your character, knowing how to have critical thinking skills, making good judgment, having self-discipline, all of those things. Like we just don't pay attention to those things and think it's money, 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 money. Money makes the man, money, and that part, I think it gets lost when we're talking about relationships.
You know what you sound like right now? The founders of the manosphere, because that was their whole argument.
Mm-hmm. Well, then in that case, I agree with them, and it's both of us. Is the women are picking men based on money. Men are saying I need to make money so I can have the pick of the litter of the kind of women that I want to choose, as opposed to it being let me take the pick of the litter that has a good character, who's going to hold me down, who's going to have my back, who's going to be good to raise my family, who's going to have a good influence on my kids. Those are the things that we should be looking at. Who am I going to be able to grow with? All of those things matter. It does not matter if you have money. You can't, I mean, you can't do nothing with it once you die. What was the football player on that other clip? I think Trill had it on his show, but I seen it on IG where he was saying his focus was his football. He wished he had gotten married, but he knew at that time his primary focus, was his job, football, and any relationship. You know, women say that they could have dealt with that, but once they got in a relationship, they realized that they were not first, that the football came first. Now that he's older, is like a level of regret because now he wants that. And that's my point. For me, I got that early. Like whoever I marry, I want to spend time with them. I don't want our lives to be, I'm working and then he's working 90 hours a week. For what? When we can't even spend time with each other.